Hi guys, and welcome to your daily tarot reading for Friday the 1st of October 2021. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to use the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot for today's reading. And let's see what the cards have to say about this first day of October. I always feel like the daily readings that fall on the first day of a new month, they not only give us an indicator into what the day is about, but they also give an insight into the rest of the month. So I'm really interested to see what the cards have to say. I'm just going to shuffle them a few times and then I'm going to choose 3 cards to see what's going on. And also, I hope you're not being hit too hard by the Mercury retrograde. I went into a bit of detail on this in the weekly horoscope. So if you want some more information on that, check out that video. But Mercury is the communication planet, and when it appears to go backwards, things like information technology, contracts, communication, perspective, that becomes a little bit more challenging. So the first thing I'd suggest is that if you are working with info, especially if it's going to play a big role in your future, so commitments and signing a contract for a new house, anything like that, that you really make sure the information is on point and that things are right and accurate, and that you don't just assume things are going to work out. It's in retrograde until the 18th of October. So have a look at the weekly horoscope if you do want to find out more. Let's see what the cards have to say about this first day of October. First, we've got strength. Oh, the 4 of Wands. Hooray. That's so positive. And the 9 of Swords. Not completely unexpected, considering the Suit of Swords is the element of air, and that has to do with communication and perspective and worry. So I'll have a look at that in a moment. First, the Strength card. You can see this beautiful, elegant woman dressed in white, and she's kind of taming the beast. She's got the number 8 on top of her head, so the infinity symbol. And the card is a reminder that you're always able to deal with your circumstances as they arise, whether they're positive or negative. If you connect with your higher self, if you look at the inner resources that always exist within you, you'll be able to deal with whatever comes your way. And if things seem difficult, aggressive, if there's a sense that you're being blocked at every turn, like there are obstacles, then it's better to look for the resources internally than to try and run around and get all the answers from other people or information that's out there. The Strength card says that the most valuable resource that you've got on this day and in October is your connection with your higher self, and that you don't need to be stumped by anything. You don't need to become overwhelmed. You really have all of the answers residing in you. And if you face things head on without procrastinating, without kind of trying to run away, you'll be able to deal with trivial little annoyances and also big problems. So 8 is strength in numerology as well. So you have a lot more power than you realize, and really give yourself a pat on the back when you do deal with things which may be emotionally demanding or physically draining, or, that take it out of you, and celebrate the fact that you do have this strength and that you're able to use it appropriately. By continuing to engage with the things happening in your life, it leads you to the 4 of Wands, which is a wedding. It's a celebration, it's good times, it's happiness, and you can see this doorway opening. So something, and also the Lion and the Strength card I would associate with the element of fire because of the color of the lion and the lion in itself, strength. In astrology, the sun rules Leo, so we've got a lot of kind of fiery energy there. So if you use that inner fire and you use it to your own advantage by dealing with things as they come up in the moment, it actually leads you to a very happy place. So that's interesting because it goes back to this theme that things aren't always what they seem. So if you have some sort of a problem, like the contract is sent back because the accountant or lawyer says this clause isn't appropriate, we need to rework it. And for you, that's a huge headache because you've already spent so much time on this contract and now you have to revisit it. by actually accepting that and revisiting the contract, you may discover something in there that you'd missed before, and you can then put a note on it, send it back, and get it removed ultimately when you come to an agreement. And that opens the door for a much happier future. Because what initially seemed like a pain or an extra work that you weren't particularly happy with and that required extra strength to deal with, when you do work with that, it means you can adjust the situation so that the future, the events following the information that's being dealt with now, is a lot more positive than it would have been if you didn't have to do the extra work. So it's really important not to jump to conclusions and to judge things as negative, positive, and to think in absolutes. It's much more likely that something that presents as irritating actually offers the opportunity for celebration and success and new ways of succeeding. So we've got the town in the back. We've got these two women beautifully dressed with all the flowers. We've got other people in the garden chatting and having a good time, all the flowers. So this is really a card that says the future is good and it's abundant and it's prosperous. And it is important to celebrate the little triumphs in life, because that's what will recharge your batteries. And also it's a way of thanking yourself for being so hardworking and for being so diligent and having the stamina and the perseverance to continue even when things seem difficult. The Nine of Swords is a card, again, that's quite obvious just by looking at it. We've got a woman with her head in her hands and she's in bed. So I always feel like this is the middle of the night where you just wake up in a cold sweat and terror and you really worry about things. And I love the fact that they've put the person in the bed, because when you wake up at 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning and you start ruminating about all of your problems, they seem a lot larger. I don't know if you've ever had this experience. I think most of us have. But you think about these things in the middle of the night. Oh, how am I going to deal with the problem at work? Or how am I going to handle this? And then either you manage to go back to bed, or you know, hang around until morning comes, and the whole thing seems very, very different a few hours later. And that's what the card is about. It's really having this perspective that you're powerless, so the opposite of the Strength card, and that everything is conspiring to make your life difficult, and they pile up and they seem overwhelming, and you get to a point of total despair where you feel like, oh my goodness, how am I going to handle all of this? It just seems so much for one person to deal with. And it really is a card that says, if you look at things from this negative angle and you let them get on top of you, literally in the card, then you're going to be in a position where you feel overwhelmed and you're only seeing the bad stuff. And like I said before, if you have these kind of concerns or worries, try and look for the silver lining. And I know that's easier said than done, but don't even go here. Don't allow yourself to get to a space where you're just completely, anxious about what could be, because most of the things we worry about never really happen in reality. So if you do wake up in the middle of the night, it's much better to get up, to make yourself a sandwich or whatever, to read a magazine, than to sit there and to just scare yourself half to death by going through every negative thing that can possibly happen to you. It's not appropriate. Negative circumstances lead to triumphs and successes. So find a way of either distracting yourself or deliberately saying, I don't have all the answers and I'm catastrophizing here. Let me deal with this in the morning. And rather than contemplate everything and have it run around in my head, let me act and deal with things as they arise when I can. So it's giving yourself permission to take action and to deal with things in the moment, rather than to try and predict the future and to say, how am I going to deal with this in my mind? Because that always seems much more complicated. Also, what's interesting is that we've got these two opposites here. We've got total strength and self-reliance, and we've got total disempowerment and despair. And both of them lead to the Four of Wands, the happiest card in the deck. So again, it doesn't matter if you're in a negative space or if you're in an amazingly good place, as long as you keep going and you keep living your life best you can, sooner or later, either on this day or in the month of October, you will get to this happy place of celebration. So things are looking up, keep going, and there is a guaranteed chance for improvement of your circumstances according to the cards. Things aren't going to get worse. So the starting out point is really irrelevant. Where you're going is a really good place. So try and be encouraged by that and keep that in your mind's eye and make that the focus, that things may be really unclear right now and you don't have total understanding, but you're moving in the right direction, and deep down you know that you're doing the right things and that things will look up again. And that's encouraging in itself. And that also takes the pressure off, because you don't have to figure everything out at 3 in the morning. You can keep going during the day and see how things move and change as you go. And the energy will really lighten and become much more positive. Number-wise, we've got 8 and 4, that's 12. And 9 is 21. Wow. 2 and 1 is 3. And 3 is communication and new beginnings. So don't believe everything that you're thinking and don't believe everything you hear. Focus on the direction you're moving in and make a fresh start with those, or continue to move forward. And really, things are going to look up. Things are going to surprise you by how positive they are. And even if you couldn't see a way out of a situation, rather than worry about it endlessly, keep going, and you may be super, super surprised with the positive outcome that you get at the end of it. So judgment and the sense that you know that everything is going to be doom and gloom is really inappropriate. And not only does it make you feel awful in the moment, it also slows down this whole process and it makes it much harder for you to move forward. So really try and exercise some discipline when it comes to negative thinking and replace that by focusing on your strengths. And you can do that by saying, I've dealt with things like this in the past, or I know that things are going to work out. They always do. I'm listening to my higher self and I'm asking for help. I'm not in control of everything, so I don't need to have all the answers. You know, that kind of positive self-talk rather than doing that. So I hope you have a good day, and I hope things become clear sooner rather than later, and that you're able to be there for yourself and to support yourself. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on Book Your Reading to audio reading with me. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and share the video online. Have a great day, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.